Hey YouTube, this is Scarecrow Kaiser. I'm going to be doing a deck profile here of my Nova Grapplers. I've had the deck for a long time, but I've never actually played it in a tournament. I played it yesterday and I won, so that was pretty cool. The deck proved itself to me, I guess. Let's get started. Grade 3s will start. We got Forcer Kaiser, an amazing Vanguard, really good. His effects really amazing. I really can't complain about him, and he's 11k. This deck has a lot of 11ks, and it makes the opponent have a very difficult time fighting you. A lot of decks just can't deal when all of your rows are 11ks and I'm 10k'ing everything you've got, even 20k columns. Then for the other grade 3, we have Forcer Dragon. In this deck, for this build, he's a better rear guard than he is Vanguard, but obviously he's not a terrible Vanguard either. I can ride him as a Vanguard and surprise my opponent by going, look, Persona Blast, which won me 2 or 3 games yesterday, where I rode him and they let his attack through because they didn't see anything off the drive check. I hit his effect, pushed a little bit more, put it in game, and then there was one game where off his drive check I hit one, and they were like, damn it, I lost. Grade 2s, 3 Brutal Jack. Only 3 because I don't want to be too cost heavy, and because there's another card in the deck that needs to counterblast, as you'll see. And Jack is a great card, but a good player, there aren't very many good players who will do this. If I'm playing against a really good player, and they're playing against Nova Grapplers, they will try to, if they can, keep the Nova Grappler player from being able to use Jack. They'll attack in order to make sure you don't have a face-up damage on your next turn. Yeah, I do it to Nova Grappler players all the time. They'll have a rear guard Jack, so I'll just make sure they don't get a face-up damage, so they'll have a wasted move next turn. Or, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Alright. Then we have 2 King of Sword. Only 2, even though he's a 10k beater, is because the deck has a lot of power to begin with. The grade 3s, the Jacks. I didn't feel need to have too much beat sticks, which I feel like if I ran more, that's what I'd have. So that explains that. Then we have 4 Death Army Girl, my favorite grade 2 for this clan. She's pretty busted, in my opinion. She's a lightning rod for your opponent's attacks too. This card puts in so much work that your opponent will stop attacking the Vanguard just to try and kill her. And then my last grade 2, 2 Kiara. This being a aggro beatdown deck, I felt it needs something that can get you a random plus like her. And she's also can be a lightning rod, just like the Death Army lady can be. Your opponent will just not want to have to deal with worrying about her attack hitting anymore, and they'll just go after her. And other than that, being able to attack with this card, your opponent blocks it, and you end up hitting a grade 3 or a stand trigger or something and giving her a second chance to attack. It can put in a lot of work. I don't run too many though, because her relationship with Brutal Jack can get too muddy if you have too many Jacks or too many Kiara. So yeah. Then we have for grade 1s, 3 Tough Boy, 8K Vanilla. I'm only running 3 of him because he's not that important for this deck. His 8K doesn't really make most cards in the deck, at least anything above grade 1, hit any sweet spot. He's basically just a beefy vanilla. He doesn't do too much. The only time his 8K matters is when you team it with a 7K grade 1, which that's often just a desperate play. That's why there's only 3. We got 3 Shout. I love this card. 7K booster. Pretty much anybody he teams up in the deck, anything above grade 2, hits the sweet spot. And early game, this card's effect will probably save you the game if you can drop him and go, I don't need this many grade 0s. I need a grade 3 right now. A discard draw will get me there. Then we have my favorite grade 1. 4 Death Army guy. Again, an amazing card, just like the lady. It's a grade 1 lightning rod. Your opponent will do what they can to make sure he dies, because he also puts in a lot of work. And a really good first turn play, if you're going second, ride your Vanguard, call him as the rear guard, because you can attack with him first, and then if your Vanguard hits a stand or a grade 3, he'll stand up and get another attack in. So he can get you up to like really, he can put in like a lot of swift attacks just on turn 1 already. Like if on turn 1 your opponent only had their only grade 1 was like their Vanguard, and they didn't have any like 0s, their hand was like mostly 2s and 3s. You drop a guy in your Vanguard, and you can really easily put your opponent to 3 damage if they don't have a hand with like any blockers early game. Then last of the grade 1s, we have 4 Twin Blader. Pretty standard, perfect guard. Almost every deck runs 4. And then the grade 1s, or grade 0s, you have your starter, White Tiger. The only target for him to use on in the deck is the Zerd Dragon, which is why Zerd Dragon's better off as a rear guard in the deck. Because then if you're a Shurikaiser, if your opponent lets the attack hit, which they eventually have to, you can stand the Zerd Dragon and get another attack in. And it puts your opponent in a tough spot, because usually what they have to do is they'll block your 2 rear guard attacks, and then you attack with your Shurikaiser Vanguard as your 3rd attack for the turn. And your opponent had to use up their shields on the rear guards. They have to allow the attack to hit. And then you can hit a crit and use the White Tiger to stand. And the crits you hit can power up that Zerd Dragon. It really pushes your opponent into a tough spot very quickly. And then on that same topic, there's 8 crits. So as I said, like, your opponent will want to block your rear guards because they know they can block them. See what happens with the Vanguard attack. Your Shurikaiser, you could drive check one of your 8 crits, do 2 damage like that. The White Tiger can be there to stand, and then if you hit a grade 3, your field's going to stand like crazy. It pushes your opponent into a corner and puts them really on edge, because once it gets to the Vanguard's attack, all hell can break loose. Then we have 4 stand triggers. Only 4, because running more stands in this deck can get really redundant. If you hit like a grade 3 and pretty much your whole field stands anyway, and then you hit a stand trigger, and you're like, well, I could stand my Vanguard's booster now, but that's not going to do anything. So, too much stand triggers in a deck where your grade 3s stand everybody anyway can get redundant. So I don't run more than 4. And I run this guy or any of the other 5K stand triggers over the risers, because the risers are not terrible. It's just they're a one shot, and then they go away, and sure, they get back in the deck and increase your odds of doing it, but in a deck that's so aggro like this, I don't want to be taking minuses. It's hard enough to keep enough resources to keep my aggro flow momentum, to keep my aggro momentum going. I already take minuses a lot of the time just to keep pushing, and my opponent tries to dwindle down my resources to make it easier to block me. So I really don't want to play a card that's a one-shot booster, even and slightly increase my chances of hitting a trigger. Plus, he's a 5k booster, so teamed with any of the deck's 11Ks, it hits the sweet spot, and I won't have to worry about like replacing it. So, and then last 4 heal. So that's that. Yeah, as I said, I went first place with it yesterday. In the last round of Swiss, I lost. Had some really crappy luck that game. Game 1 was very, very close. I lost by the skin of my teeth. I needed to hit something to finish my opponent off, and I didn't. And I had 7 grade 3s and 10 triggers left in deck, and I didn't hit anything off the drive check. I was like, wow, my luck sucks. And then the second game, by the time it got to turn 3 and I didn't have a grade 1, I was just like, I give up, because there's no coming back from that. So that was really bad luck, but then I won the rest of the day to finish off the tournament and get first. So yeah,